It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. What's up, guys? What's happening, family? Sorry, I think there was an echo here. 1 second. Alright, please let me know if that's working. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Mike, what's happening? Mass Profect, good evening. Witness me, howdy. Fox, and Life RPG, good evening, guys. Yeah, so we're looking at army lists. There's probably going to be there's probably going to be a balance data slate very, very, very soon. So, we'll still look at army lists, as we always do. We'll talk about what I like and dislike about the army lists. Obviously, I am at the be-all and end-all. Sometimes people in chat have better ideas than me. Sometimes I have bad ideas. You know, like I'm playing tanks at the moment. It's tough to say, but it's been winning a lot of games for me. So I'm going to keep playing tanks. I think, honestly, if the balance data slate isn't radical, I might play tanks to the first GT I go to in 10th edition, which is weird to say, but I guess that's where we are. Okay. Let's have a look at the first list. This list has been submitted by Jason Trump, who has been a member for 1 year and 3 months. Jason, thank you so much for the support. That's a long-term support. Did you see the Marines are losing another 30 or so data slates when we get the Codex? I did see that. I assume it's going to be a bunch of lieutenants and possibly some variants of captains. Yeah. I think balanced data slate kind of means points as well, right? Or does it not? Those are different things. I mean, balance is done with points. I guess semantics, Mark, right? We don't know what data sheets are going away, but I imagine it's a bunch of firstborn. Yeah, I mean, it must be a bunch of firstborn. But they said that the new Space Marine Codex has 93 data sheets, so I think there was a lot more than 93 units in the index. Balanced data sheet means rule changes too. Okay, well, I mean, I guess they're going to try and balance the game on points. I'm not sure the game can be fixed purely by balancing points. I think armor is just far too far ahead of infantry. But I mean, maybe there's a few outliers there where infantry are better. Okay, so Jason said, I'm sending units around the board to score secondaries or put pressure on my opponent to screen out the whole time. The Liddy is on the battlefield. I'm not sure what he means by Liddy. Depending on the matchup and card draw, sending the Centurions in the middle or backfield. I like to start the game with the Blade Guard and sometimes start Eradicators off the battlefield as well. Okay, so he's got the Biologist joining Eradicators. I tried this. It didn't work very well for me. He's got a Primaris Captain joining Blade Guard with the Relic Shield. And obviously Mastercrafted Power Weapon, and he's got Primaris Temp Marine. So you got Blade Guard, 3 Blade Guard of the Primaris Captain. You've got this must be... I was going to say, this must be 6 Eradicators. Is that what they cost now? 6 Eradicators, 190 points. Are they as cheap as that? Really? Let me check. I used Eradicators one time in 10th edition, and I used them with the Biologist with Bolter Discipline and felt like it was really underwhelming. It's not going to be Blood Angels, it's going to be... Do you know what? I'll eventually find it. I'll just search it, Eradicators. 190 points for 6? Okay. I mean, like I said, they were really underwhelming when I used them. Couple of multi-meltas and other guys with the heavy melt rifles, or the melta rifles now. Bolter Discipline means potentially bursting on 5s and 6s. No, critical hits on 5s and 6s, yeah, and they would burst in Devastator Doctrine. The problem I had with these guys is just that, like, they only wound armor on 5s. So I don't know. Has anyone in chat found Eradicators have been really useful for them? Has anyone used them more than once? I used them once and tried to kill like an Armiger and they failed, and that was with the Biologists. I believe Eradicators get a bunch of baked-in rerolls, right? Like they get to reroll hits and damage and wounds. Let me check. I literally said I only used them one time. If you target a monster vehicle, you can reroll hit, you can reroll wound, and you can reroll the damage. Yeah, and like 6 of them with a Biologist didn't even kill an Armiger. And then I was like, alright, these guys are not worth the points spent on them. I mean, I guess if you're killing elite infantry of toughness 7 or less, they might be good. Okay, Incursors with the mine. I do like how the mine can be used offensively now. I like the buff from the Incursors. Infiltrators, obviously, to deny deep strike. Suppressors to make an enemy -1 to hit, which actually is not as bad as you might think it is now. A Ball Predator with a Flamestorm and 2 heavy bolters. 2 Gladiator Lancers with, obviously, I guess the main cannon and the rocket pods and the stubber and the... They have 2 Storm Bolters. I never realised that. I've only ever been using 1 Storm Bolter on them. Okay. Librarian Dreadnought with a Heavy Flamer, the Vindicator with a Hunter Killer, and then the Whirlwind with a Hunter Killer, and then a Vindicator Assassin. Okay, so I guess almost like 3 anti-armor units in the Lancers and the Vindicator. Librarian Dreadnought to get some redeploy, maybe for like Centurions. Centurions are so... It's pretty crazy that 3 Centurions basically cost the same as 6 Eradicators. Interesting as well, you didn't put the... You just kept all the bolters. I've been putting the... Because I've been using 3 Centurions. I've been putting them into a repulsor, but I've been using the... What do you may call it? The assault launcher, so that they've got grenades. So if I need to do some mortal wounds with the Centurions, it's an option. You might need... You know, bolters are strength 4, flamers are strength 4. So you're not really going to kill anything, and if there's an enemy with like a couple of wounds left, you might want to do some mortals with the grenades. Hi Nick, good evening. Crozier says, Crazy Daka with 6 aggressors, 18 shots with the Boltstorm gauntlets, and 6 plus d6 blast. Critting on 5s and 6s with lethal and sustained hits on an Oath of Moment target. You just keep rolling dice. Yeah, I mean, it's not as crazy as it was at one point. I remember when 6 aggressors used to get like over 100 shots. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, I guess it's the sustained and the lethal hits is pretty good. Yeah, Biologists. I do think I just think Bolter Discipline's best served on Desolation Marines from my experience. I've used it on Eradicators and I've used it on Desolation Marines. It felt a lot better. Okay, what was there another question that I missed? I guess you meant the Librarian Dreadnought. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Blade Guard, Centurions, Eradicators, Incursors, Infiltrators, Suppressors, a couple Lancers, a Vindicator, a Whirlwind, the Assassin. I think You know, it's weird to not have a transport here, because normally I'd be wanting to say like, well, Centurions are useless because the transport issue, and Blade Guard are going to struggle to get to the middle again because the transport issue. I guess you're going to try and teleport them with the Librarian Dreadnought. I just think like you with Librarian Dreadnought, you're going to have to make a 9-inch charge with the Centurions, right? Which isn't great. Whereas, like, if you have the Centurions like in a repulsor, you potentially could have to make like a 2-inch charge. And Centurions are so damn slow. Like, it's not like you can rapid ingress them or anything with Librarian Dreadnought. Yeah, I don't like 9-inch charges in general, period. Like, you know, even with the baked in reroll, they feel to me like a 40% chance or something. Like, a 9-inch charge is just a bad charge. So I don't mind using Librarian Dreadnought to teleport around a shooting unit, because I think that's reliable. But I think teleporting around a unit that needs to make a 9-inch charge, even an 8-inch charge, I think that's kind of a Hail Mary. Yeah, I don't like it personally. Yeah, I just don't like it. I just think that, well, I know a 9-inch charge is less than 50%. It's like 47% or something like that. And I know that an 8-inch charge was 66%. And the amount of times I would fail 8-inch charges last edition. Apart from that, I mean, the synergies in the list seem okay, right? Like, it's like you get 2 Lancers to pop out vehicles. You've got the Vindicator, which pops out vehicles and or infantry. I actually think the Vindicator is really versatile, and obviously the toughness 11 helps tons. You could bring a Land Raider Redeemer. Yeah, I mean, I think a Land Raider Redeemer is actually really good because it's good in Overwatch and stuff like that. I think because I like to be super efficient, I'm running a Repulsor because, yeah, filling the 5-inch charge is a real kicker. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if you have the Centurions on transport, you know you're at least going to be able to get like 10 or 7 inches movement out of the depending on the situation, right? Like, if you're in a Repulsor, you're going to be able to disembark 3 and move 4. If you're on a Land Raider, you're going to be able to move 10, then disembark 3, so you get 13-inch move. I think I'd much rather put my Centurions in a transport. I think they're just going to be much more reliable. It's not to say you won't be able to make a 9-inch charge in some games, but like if you go to a tournament, if you teleport the Centurions every game, then 2 out of the 5 games, arguably 3, the Centurions are going to not make their charge and be left in the open. And if you're relying on that unit to kill something, then you're just going to lose 175 points and get nothing, I guess. The rest of the list's okay. I just don't think I rate Eradicators. I guess maybe in this list with the apologist, the biologist. That's apothecary and a biologist in one word. Maybe in this list, because you've got 2 Lancers and you've got a Vindicator, and if you focus those on killing vehicles, and the Eradicators can maybe hit like non-vehicles, I'm happy with that. The second the Eradicators start wounding on 5s, even with the baked-in rerolls, wounding on 5s with a reroll is still only a 55% chance to wound. So if you have like a poor roll, because I guess rolls probably swing 10 or 15%, then you only have like, I was going to say Eradicators with 2 multi-meltas is what? 4 shots. So you get 8 shots. So let's say even if you hit all 8 times and then you have a poor wound roll, you only make like 3 wounds, even with the rerolls. You're only wounding like 3 times. Yeah, I guess you could burst a couple extra hits, but like, assuming you're shooting a tough enemy with a 4-up invan, because most tough enemies have some sort of invan save, then potentially like you only have a couple of multi-melta shots going through, so you're paying like 270 points for like 2 multi-melta shots going through, and then you could roll 1s on the damage, right? Like you could literally roll 2 1s and great, you spent 270 points on 1 damage. I know that's an extreme case, but I mean that's literally what happened to me. I think I spent 270 points and maybe did like 5 damage to an Armiger. Like 2 got through. It was just pathetic. It just felt pathetic. I didn't like it at all. On paper, it looks really good. I just think Meltagons, because they're only going to win on 5s, they're not good anymore. Yeah, re-rolling a 9-inch charge is almost a waste of a C. Like it's so low. Like the actual 9-inch charge is like a 27%, right? Like it's not good at all. It only gets up to like I was gonna say. Let me just double check that. If you ever need to know the exact percent, use the website AnyDice. You literally go to AnyDice and just say output is 2d6, and I just need a graph. You can do a table or a graph. Table's fine, and you need at least. It's like a 9 or more on 2 dice is only a 27% chance. That's where you are. So, like, if you teleport your Centurions 9 inches away, you know, it's pretty crazy. That's why for my reserve, I'm using the Death Company Dreadnought, and I'm charging a monster vehicle, so I'm charging on a 7. Look at the difference. It's like way more than double. And that's before you put in the reroll. So, like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever done a 9-inch. I mean, I've done them, but it's rubbish. It's really low probability. It's like it's not something you ever want to be relying on. Okay, so I mean, I like his core of the Ball Predator, the Vindicator, the Double Lancer. I get the idea behind the Librarian Dreadnought, but I think that if you're going to teleport units around, you want more shooting units. I just don't think the Eradicators is the right choice for that. I mean, I think if it was me, I'd probably rather do like 2 5-man Desolation squads, honestly, rather than do a single squad of Eradicators. I'm also not entirely sure, like, the advantage of adding a captain to the Blade Guard. The captain's going to let them use a free strat. And what's the other thing the Primaris captain does again? Oh, he gets the extra devastating wounds on 3 extra attacks. I mean, okay, he's fine. I guess that means your Blade Guard in the center of the board could heroic intervene or something for 0 CP. Yeah, maybe it's okay. I'm just not. I just think Blade Guard are probably fine on their own. You might be better spending your points somewhere else. Like they'll survive a little bit. They'll fight a little bit. I'm not sure adding a captain is going to do that much, honestly. Okay. I mean, once per game, you're going to get how many attacks? Like 9 attacks on your captain. I guess you can hit on 2s, rerolling 1s because you use the Blade Guard special ability. So arguably, you make like 9 hits. The problem is if you want to actually fight anything armor-wise, then you're probably only winning on 5s. So out of your 9 hits, you make 3 wound rolls. Maybe one of them is devastating wounds, so you do 2 mortal wounds and they have to save a couple of times. Yeah, infantry are in a rough spot. The second, like, it's going to come up in your games where you have to fight monsters and vehicles. And when you start fighting monsters and vehicles with infantry, it's like, it's rough. It's really rough. I'm just telling you that I used Eradicators and I felt like they sucked. I felt like Devastation Marines were way better. So, okay. I mean, if you can use value and get value out of Eradicators, go for it. I mean, it's cool you're teleporting them around with the Librarian Dreadnought. That is a cool thing. But yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Bunta's list next, and this is a Gladiator's list. He said he didn't know where to post lists, so here it is. Alright, so he's got a Biologist, he's got a Librarian and Phobos Armor, he's got 6 Aggressors, he's got a Ball Predator, he's got 3 Blade Guard, he's got 2 Lancers. 2 Lancers is so common in people's lists. He's got Inceptors, he's got Infiltrators ×2, he's got a Land Raider Redeemer, he's got the Repulsor Executioner, cool. I mean, I wanted to try an Executioner. He's got the Sternguard veterans, and he's got the assassin. The aggressors are with the Bologist with the Bolter discipline and the Land Raider. Oh, interesting. The Blade Guard and the Executioner. Inceptors and Infiltrators to prevent GSE nonsense, etc. What do you think about the command squad with 3 shields plus 2 grabbing cannons with a Tycho? I think it's cool. However, they've basically said that the command squad will be disappearing, Nick. Because I was building a command squad with, I think, 3 shields, 2 las cannons and Tycho. Because I felt like the las cannons getting the rapid fire was pretty strong, but I guess that's kind of gone. Okay, a lot of people take the Vindicator Assassin. I think he's good if you just want to hold an objective and snipe at somebody. 10 Sternguard, I guess you can Oath of Moment their target and you can potentially do some mortal wounds. The Executioner I think is cool. I think I need to do a video Executioner versus a Lancer because... So 2 Lancers plus an Executioner, I mean that gives you a lot of anti-tank firepower. He also has a Redeemer in this list, which gives you anti-infantry and, I guess, push forward and also absorb a lot of shots, so you're anti-tanks free. So 4 units of armor in this list. Blade Guard, then the Aggressors, the Val Predator in there as well. What's the Librarian and the Phobos with? He'll be with one of the squads of Infiltrators or Inceptors, so they can't be shot. Okay, this is a really interesting list. So, like, I said 4 units of armor. It's actually 5. Or Executioner, Redeemer, a double Lancer, and a Ball Predator. And I think the Ball Predator is very good for Overwatch. I think the Redeemer is very good for Overwatch. I think it's cool putting Blade Guard inside a Repulsor. I've been doing it myself. It works well. I suppose it's interesting to put Aggressors inside a Redeemer. I haven't tried that. What's the... I was going to say, how do Aggressors shape up against Centurions? I guess they're all their power fists are twin linked. Okay, so you get a bit more reliability on their twin linked, but you only get 3 attacks and 4 up weapon skill. That's pretty poor. Considering they've got 2 fists, that's pretty poor. Each time this model makes an ranged attack against the closest eligible, improve the AP against it by 1. Okay. Then you would get, what, like 9 shots at AP 1 potentially. Or average of 6 shots, 3 of them are twin linked. I was going to say you get 6 Centurions, sorry, 6 Aggressors for 220 points, and you get the 3 Centurions. I think the Centurions are better, like a lot better. I know you get a lot less of them, but I think I just think that their drills are like way better. So they get 1 more weapon skill, they get 2 more strength, they get 1 more damage, and then they get sustained hits 2 against monsters, vehicles, fortifications, and they're twin linked. So if you're fighting monsters, vehicles, or fortifications, which is arguably the things that everybody's having problems with, and the Centurions need to deal with them, then I think the Centurions are way better. Obviously, they have a better save, they have a better toughness, they have 1 more wound. They have OC2? I assume Aggressors are OC1. I didn't check. So 6 Aggressors are the same OC as 3 Centurions. I think the Centurions are way better. And all their weapons are twin linked as well. Yeah. The thing I like about Centurions as well is, like, inside like a Land Raider, you can put 3 Centurions plus 3 Blade Guard. That's a capacity of 12. That's 12 units worth of stuff. That's quite nice. Even in Eternal Crusader, how many jump intercessors are you planning on picking up? None. I'm going to convert my current ones to whatever base size the new ones need to be on. I'm not buying any of the new jump intercessors. Is anyone in chat buying the new jump intercessors? I mean, they have less weapon options than the current ones. I'm really disappointed about the weapon options. I kind of predicted that the weapon options would be shit. Centurions obviously can take meltas as well. I've got mine linked with the flamers, but yeah, I don't think I rate aggressors. which is annoying because I've got 6 of the Boltstorm ones. I think aggressors were really good, and I think it was 8th edition. You could stand still and you could fire twice. I think they were really good then, and ever since then, I think they've been well. You used to be able to advance and fire with no AP penalty as well, right? They're not even, their weapons aren't even assault anymore. Wow. Okay, I really don't like aggressors, man. Yeah, I don't like them at all. I think Centurions are way better. In 8th, they were, oh my god, powerful. Yeah, I played against a guy that had 18 of them in a list, and each squad was putting out like over 100 shots from bolters, right? Because it was 9 shots per guy, and they could fire twice if they stood still. So it was like 108 shots per squad. That was crazy. Yeah, I don't like aggressors at all. So I like his armor in this list. I haven't run the Stern Guard myself. I think they're a kind of a quirky unit. They're there to get a lot of mortal wounds against infantry squads, if that's what you need to be killing, I guess. He's taking the bolt rifles on them. So I guess they're not going to do quite as many mortals against infantry. They will do some mortals, though. I think their bolt rifles are just like... Where the hell is their squad? I'll find it eventually. Here you go. Bolt rifles. 2 shots, strength 4 -1, 1 damage, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. If you do kill something, you get to shoot again. So I guess if you oath of moment your target, you could maybe do like 30 shots if you're within rapid fire range. Yeah, you can maybe do like 5 mortal wounds and be able to fire twice if you manage to kill a target. I mean, it's not horrific, this Stern Guard. I just haven't run them, but I felt like they were maybe more an ultramarines unit. But yeah, if you want to run them, go for it. I think they might be okay. You know, everything else is good. Infiltrators are good. Inceptors are good for harassing backfield objectives. The biologists with the aggressors. I don't know. That's the one question I have. The biologists with the aggressors with bolter discipline. I think I'd rather just take Centurions and then spend the... Like, if you do a squad of Centurions, you get 45 points back. Drop the bolter discipline apothecary, and just put 3 Blade Guard in the Redeemer. So you get 3 Blade Guard plus 3 Centurions. I think that's better. But, I mean, maybe some armies you like having aggressors, you can shoot a lot of strength 4 firepower. If you think there's a lot of value in like a high amount of strength 4 firepower, I just don't... The lists I've been playing against, I just don't see a lot of value in strength 4 firepower. Like... Well, I'm trying to think in my list, like, I have some scattered Stormbolters in my list, and then, like, nothing else. Like, I'm literally running no other strength 4 firepower. Like, my Death Company have Infernal Pistols, my Centurion... Okay, so, like, I've got 3 Centurions with 3 Twin Link Flamers and 2 Twin Link Centurion Bolters, or whatever they're called. Not Tempest Bolters, Hurricane Bolters. So that's like that's his... Oh, and then I've got a repulsor, so I've got like the 18 shots for the repulsor defensive array on it. So yeah, okay, there is some situations where strength 4 firepower is useful. Okay. No, I will admit that. I just don't know if I need to spend 220 points on a unit of 6 aggressors. Well, it's 220 points plus 80 points for the apothecary, so it's 300 points on strength 4 firepower. I think you'd be much better. Like, a repulsor is like 190. And it's got like 18 strength 4 shots. Plus it's got some las cannons and other stuff, and it can get units up the board. And it's toughness 12. And it's got like 16 wounds or something. Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I think the only thing to say is I don't think anyone's been winning tournaments with aggressors. But if, I mean, I always say that, hey, if the list's working for you and there's a solid reason, you know, like your aggressors coming out your redeemer or doing a lot of work for you, then you know, by all means, don't listen to me. I'm just telling you what I see in the games I've been playing. I don't know if I feel there's a lot of strength in that in bolter firepower. Even minus 1 AP bolter firepower, maybe a tiny bit. Mike says he loves taking 10 intercessor squads and having the lieutenant lead the bolter discipline. Well, yeah, it just depends. I mean, if your opponent's going to run a ton of toughness 3 enemies, or toughness 3 units, or even toughness 4, then maybe it's okay. The combination does 13 wounds to toughness 12. Is it as good as that, is it? Surely not. You factor in an Oath of the Moment there. You got lethal hits, and by giving it yeah, okay. I mean, maybe, but I mean, yeah. Okay, so let's just. I'll take your word for it, right? You're gonna Maverick. You're gonna do 13 wounds, right, to a toughness 12 vehicle or toughness 11. It doesn't really make any difference. So if you're gonna, let's say it's the closest enemy as well, so you get the minus 1 AP. So like, the second you tell me, you're gonna, you're gonna shoot you're going to shoot all those aggressors at like a toughness 12 vehicle, they'll either play Armor of Contempt or they'll play Smokescreen. And then you'll probably need to make 13 saves on like 2-ups or 3-ups. So like if you have to make 13 saves on 2-ups, it's 83%, right? So like you've spent 220 points there to do 2 wounds to do a Vindicator tank. Then the Vindicator tank will just shoot you back and kill your whole squad. Right. It might not kill your own. Well, if you've given it Oath of the Moment, it probably will kill your whole squad because it'll be probably about an average of 6 or 7 shots. Probably hitting on 3s, re-rolling, wounding on 2s, re-rolling, and then you're only saving on 6s. You could use Storm of Fire to give them minus 2 AP. Yeah, I guess you could put them in Devastator Doctrine and give them Storm of Fire. All right, I mean, maybe these guys are better than I'm giving them credit for a little bit. Still think 300 points to me feels like a lot. I'm not looking at them going, oh yeah, damn, I really like these guys. I'm looking at them like, okay, now that we've done the math, or now you've told me that the math is better than I thought it was. You're never gonna get plunging fire with them, dude. Get out of town. They move like 5 inches. It take them like 3 turns to get up high enough to do plunging fire. They'll never get plunging fire, and if you get them up to plunging fire range, they're never getting them back down again. So you teleport them to the librarian. Okay. I was gonna say I think it'd be hard push to get them all in a position. You were very hesitant at first, but okay, well. Aggressors. Interesting. I don't really see it, but looking at their profile and looking at the buffs that they have, I didn't really see it being strong. I suppose it really depends on it depends on the save of your opponent, because you're having to shoot the closest enemy and potentially get a stratagem played and potentially get a teleport done and potentially trying to get them plunging fire. There's a lot of ifs there to make them good, right? You can advance the librarian to teleport them. Yeah, I get you could use the librarian to teleport them back down. There's going to be a better unit for that, though. If you're going to spend that many points, why would you not just use Desolation Marines? And why not just have 9 crack missiles there? with Oath of the Moment, which are going to do way more to toughness 10 vehicle or toughness 11 vehicle. And the thing about the Desolation Marines, they got cracks, and they got the Castellans. Sorry. And the Castellans are really good against infantry as well, right? Because they have blast, and you can potentially get like an average of like 4 or 5 shots from every Castellan. So I'm not. I guess the only reason I can see to take these guys is because they're cheaper than Desolation Marines by like 100 points. Gravis is super tough in my local meta. Well, cool. I haven't found any infantry to be super tough, unless they're like on toughness 9 above. I've been losing infantry left, right, and center. Terminators were dying very quickly. I guess I've been playing knights. Even the Centurions die pretty quickly, and they're T7. Repulsors are really good in my opinion. Yeah, I've got a repulsor on my list, Brian. I'm using it every week. I have no intention of dropping it. The only thing I'd like to do is I don't have an executioner, so I'd like to try an executioner at some point. Yeah, no, I'm sort of sold on a repulsor being a really good vehicle. If you do enjoy tonight's video at any point, guys, please leave a like on the stream. I would appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the balance data slate, Mike, to decide what vehicle I get next. I feel like I keep calling it balance data. So what do they call it? Like the munition points? I forget what they call it. They call it. So we're not waiting for a balance data slate. We're waiting for a Minotaurium Field Manual version 1.3, I guess. Is that what we're waiting on, Mark? Is this actually what we're expecting to get? A new version of the Field Manual. Nobody calls it that when I play. When we talk about the balance patches and stuff, no one calls it the Field Manual. We're all like, where do we get points update? When do we get a balance patch? No one calls it that, but I guess that's its proper name. Okay, let's have a look at BK Retsui's list next. Crozier says, I'm also unsure if I should get a Gladiator or a Vindicator with this month's Warhammer budget. I think you should wait, because a bunch of Space Marine data slates are going to disappear as far as I'm aware, right? So I'd wait until we see who loses their data slate before you buy anything, because that's so risky. You know, like a bunch of people bought like Assault Marines literally the week before Games Workshop said that Assault Marines are going to be legend and stuff like that. So loads of people bought stuff. I mean, I bought a bunch of stuff in the last 6 months, all of which has gone to legends basically. You know, something that probably might get gone was, do you remember they all said like, oh, the firstborn chicken dreadnought, you know, the one with the last cannon and the missile launcher, it's going to be gone. And then we got the index cards and it wasn't gone, and everyone was surprised it wasn't gone. But I assume that means it will now be gone, right? It'll be one of the units that shouldn't be a surprise. We'll see. Okay. So this is Sons of Sanguinius 2000 point list. He has a Captain Gravis armor with the Bolts Arm Gauntlet, the Power Fist, the Relic Fist, an Artisan of War. That's like, I feel like Artisan of War is like 1 extra AP and gives him a 2-up save. Alright, I mean, I guess if you just got points you need to spend at the end, that's fine. He's got a Terminator Captain attached to Relic Terminators with fists, and it's got a relic weapon, the Stormbolter and Visage of Death. Again, I'm not sold on Visage of Death. Maybe if it had been if it did everybody, because it only affects infantry, then I think most of the time, I guess 50-50 of the time, Visage of Death is worthless, so I'm really not sold on it. He's got the Judiciar attached to Blade Guard Veterans with Icon of the Angel. He's really gone hard on the enhancements. Most people think these enhancements aren't very good. This means you can't fall back. Again, excluding monsters and vehicles unless you want to take a desperate escape attempt. I'm not sold on this at all. And a librarian in Terminator armor. He's attached to Terminator with claws. Okay, and he's got a force weapon and smite. Very little. Here's some tough infantry, says Mark. Any tips on dealing with Necron's Lich Guard? Buff to toughness 5, -1 wound, 4 up in Von, 5 up feel no pain, resing, healing 2d3 in my command phase, d3 plus 3 in theirs, and that's before strats 2. Yeah, so you would have to kill the whole Lich Guard unit, wouldn't you? Space Marines probably don't have a great way of dealing with of that right now. I was going to say, how many wounds does a Lich Guard have these days? I was going to say, I could bring up the Necron Codex. Necrons. Combat Patrol Necrons. No, just give me regular Necrons. Okay. I haven't actually had a chance to fight Lich Guard yet in 10th edition, but I want to. People are saying that there's certain matchups my list wouldn't do well into, and one of them was going to be the Necrons. So toughness 5, only 2 wounds. Okay. Four up in Fun, and you said they can get 5 up feel no pain, and obviously they got reanimation protocols as well. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough actually. So you basically optimize. Optimal is going to be 3 wound weaponry, right? And maybe even -1 is going to be 3 wound weaponry. Do you know what? Optimal might even be 4 damage weaponry, but we don't really have that in our arsenal. You know, autocannons wouldn't be terrible against that because the -1 AP from them basically puts them on their 4 up. I don't think many people are going to run enough autocannons to make that viable. I guess heavy bolters as well would be okay, but not many people are going to run that many heavy bolters either. Battle Predators might actually not be bad against them, because the -1 damage will do nothing against the side weapons if it's heavy flamers. But yeah, I haven't fought Lich Guard for a while. I was going to say, if I'm fighting against that, I'm probably going to dump Oath of Moment on it, and then I'm probably going to unload both my Vindicator Assault or my Vindicator Demolisher cannons into them. Because if it's a 10-man squad, then I'll get blast off one of them. So I'm probably going to get like 12 shots. Probably all wound or close to all wound. So I could probably kill like 5 of them maybe from the 2 Vindicators. But yeah, I need to then hit them with a bunch of other stuff as well. Yeah, I mean, the trick to beating Necrons as well is to kill the whole squad, right? So you don't get fucked by like reanimation or healing or stuff like that. It's difficult to say, like, oh yeah, just kill the whole squad. It's easy. It's the same as like when you play against knights and you lose the game, but the opponent had 4 like armigers all on 1 wound, and those armigers on 1 wound won the game. I mean, I've been in games where I've 100% lost the game because the enemy's running around with like multiple units on 1 wound. And I guess, do you know what? The game I just played against Miles this week on the channel is a good example of that, where like at the end of the game, Miles had killed nothing. But like he'd done a bunch of damage to one of the Vindicators, he'd done a bunch of damage to Under Vindicator, he'd done a bunch of damage to the Ballistus Dreadnought, but because he hadn't managed to finish anything off, all those armor units are still there and all still doing their damage every turn, and it's just overwhelming for him. So yeah, the only way you're doing that, I guess, is if you have like an insane amount of blast firepower, and I don't think many people are running that at all. I was going to say Assault Marines might be okay, because you could charge with Assault Marines and do like 6 mortal wounds, and then just try and kill a bunch of them with 1 damage chainswords. If you've got the Assault Marines attached to a captain and they're at least strength 5, you could play Red Rampage or something. So you wound on 3s, you could Oath of Moment them. I mean, you could probably kill them with something like that. But yeah, it's actually pretty tough. And I mean, I was going to say, could your assault marines throw grenades as well, so you could do some mortal wounds via that way? I mean, it's potential. It's not ideal. All right, sorry. Back to this list. Captain of Gravis armor, Captain Terminator armor, the Judiciar, and the Librarian. Okay, so we've got assault intercessors, heavy intercessors, a 6-man blade guard, a 6-man centurion with meltas, drills, etc. I don't know if I was going to run centurions, I don't think I put them as a 6-man because there's no advantage to having them as a 6-man at all, really, and they're so slow that probably the last units in the model are never going to get into combat anyway with the first, because you've got to be base to base now. So, and the bases are so big. I think if I was going to run Centurions, I'd run them as 2-3-man squads. 10 Desolators with Bolter Discipline. You know what, that's probably the best call mark. 10 Desolators with Bolter Discipline would average 4 shots per guy. They're in Devastator Doctrine. Yeah, I think 10 Desolation Marines is probably your best way of killing those Lich Guard. But, yeah, it all comes back to those damn Desolation Marines being too good. I guess we'll see. Have a lot of people still been running them since they put them up in points? Or do you think they put them up to the correct point value? Afternoon full. Infiltrators, Librarian Dreadnought, Relic Terminators, 5-man with Power Fists, and then Relic Terminators with just Lightning Claws. I don't know if I like Terminators with just Lightning Claws now. Because they're like Strength 7, and they've got no... Strength 7 -2... That's right, isn't it? No, they're Strength 5. They're getting +1 from the Sons of Sanguinius detachment. And they can potentially get +1 from having a captain with them, maybe. I really don't know if I like Lightning Claws at all anymore. You only get one. You get 1 extra attack, but you only do 1 damage. I don't know. Does anyone like Lightning Claws now? I honestly don't know if I've run Lightning Claws in 10th edition. I just looked at the fact that they're Strength 5 -2 1 damage and kind of pieced out on them, I guess. Alright, so 2 squads of Terminators, Librarian Dreadnought, Infiltrators, Furioso Dreadnought. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of the Furioso Dreadnought. I think I guess he's fine because he can get the Magna Grapple. I just think the Death Company Dreadnought's probably better. But then, I mean, I guess if you take the Death Company Dreadnought, you need a Chaplain. So maybe the Furioso Dreadnought's fine at 165. Like I said, I think Centurions probably work better in 3s. I think 6 is just going to be a nightmare to move them around. They only move 4 inches. It's difficult to move these guys around as it is. The 6 Blade Guard. Again, I think Blade Guard work better in 3s rather than 6s. But... that's just my opinion. The problem I'm seeing with this list is, bar the Librarian Dreadnought, there's nothing to transport units about. So, and there's no armor here. This is like, I mean, your Librarian Dreadnought's going to be hiding because he can be shot to death in 1 turn by a single las cannon or a heavy laser destroyer or something. The Furioso Dreadnought, I guess, maybe in reserve. For me, this list has way too much infantry. Unless infantry are going to get a giant points drop like next week. I tried to field a couple of infantry heavy lists and just got decimated in 10th edition. I was going to say, there's no real long range anti-armor here either. I guess, yeah, for me, I don't know. I mean, if I had to make a tweak right off, I would say it would be better to just have 3 Centurions in the Repulsor and 3 Blade Guard. And then that would give you points for Repulsor. Yes, you would lose 3 Centurions and 3 Blade Guard, but you'd have a Repulsor, which is a toughness 12 block that you can just drive up and park in the middle of the board, which is kind of how I've been playing it. And you've got like 80 points left over. I'd possibly lose one of these characters. Like, yeah, if you're splitting up the Blade Guard into 3-man, I'd probably just lose the Judiciar. Or lose one of these. I was going to say the Captain and Gravis, I guess, is attached to the Heavy Intercessors because that's all he can be attached to. Yeah, I think that, with infantry heavy lists like this are going to struggle. Like, you're really going to struggle at the moment. Unless this comes along and gets like a 20-30 point decrease across the board. So it's going to be very difficult because, like, I'm trying to think if I played against this, like, I don't know if they literally can't kill any of my army in shooting. Because I'm just, on turn 1, I'm just basically lining up 8 tanks. So, like, the only thing that he could maybe kill with shooting is, like, if he teleports the Centurions close enough with their melta-guns to kill 1 tank. And then in return, I'll just kill all the Centurions. Because I've got like 20 odd las cannons, so I'll definitely kill all the Centurions, and then I'll kill anything else I can see, and then from that point on, he just has to hide from me. I guess it's fine to make a list like this and to try and run some Sanguinius. I just need you to be aware that, like, you're going to really struggle into some armies. Because, like, when I deploy in turn 1, I'm literally not deploying any models less than toughness 10. Like, I don't have anything on the board that's less than toughness 10. I'm racking my brain to check that that's right, but it is right, yeah. So the best thing you've got is, like, 6 melta-guns that are twin-linked, I suppose. And you could oath the moment, and you could teleport. So assuming you manage to do all that, assuming you manage to teleport all 6 of them to be in range of 1 tank, and you oath the moment at that 1 tank, you'd get so it'd be 12 melta-guns, right? No, because they're twin linked now, so it's 6 melta-guns. So you'd wound one of my tanks 3 times. And then you'd be rolling 3 dice. So you could do 9 damage to 1 tank. Vindicators are good into Lich Guard because they have Blast. I think Vindicators are honestly my MVP most games, dude, at the moment. Like, I just think Vindicator tanks are amazing, and especially if you smokescreen them or Armor of Contempt them, they're so difficult to bring down. I even had a game where I lost both Vindicators on turn 1. I think it was that Chaos Demons game, and I was convinced it was going to be a really hard game. But he had to commit so much stuff to kill the 2 Vindicators. His whole army was out in the open, and I just mopped it all up and won the game. So for me, Vindicator tanks are really, really good. The issue is Vindicator tanks could be going into Legends next week. We don't know. If they do, I'll be really sad, because then I'll be really struggling again for figuring out a new army list. But okay, BK Retsuki. What I'd say is, like, I have been if you go over to my YouTube channel, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. If you go over to the YouTube channel, look something like this. Click on playlists. Click on Tactics 10th edition. Oh, you'll see all the videos I've made on 10th edition here. Apparently 22 videos already. So you could watch some of these, and these will give you ideas about what you could do and how you could maybe improve your list, I guess. But I think unless everything changes in the next couple of weeks, to me it feels like at the moment 10th edition is an edition that is dominated by armor. That's the bottom line, I guess. Yes, there'll be some matchups where armor isn't dominating, or there'll be some matches against, like, Eldar or GSC or Knights or something where certain conditions don't happen. But from what I'm finding is, like, look at the game I played against Nids last week. The Nid player brought a pretty balanced list that could do a little bit of anti-armor, a little bit of anti-infantry, etc., etc. I just rocked up with my list of, like, mainly of armor and absolutely destroyed him. Like, he killed one tank. It was like, he didn't kill a single model for like 2 turns. Like, how many games of 40k have you ever played when you got to turn 3 and you haven't lost a model? Like, that never happened. Like, literally, I don't think I've ever done that before. And, like, it was just, to me, it's just, like, painfully obvious. It was like, imagine if you were at the table and you'd be playing a game against someone in a tournament and it's turn 3 and they haven't, you haven't killed a model of their army. Like, that just shows you how bad the imbalance is, because I was like, man, you can't get to turn 3 and not have killed a single model. Nothing. Not a single model. He done damage, but he hadn't killed anything. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Evening, Jay Henderson. How you doing? So, dropping this list because I've made some tweaks. I know we're in a huge armor meta. Okay, so the killer says he knows we're in this meta. Good. I know we're in this meta too. Now, once everybody else realizes we're in this meta, then we're going to be... The Nids are handicapped by low strength shooting. I mean, he did have 6 Zonathropes. They have high strength shooting, strength 12, right? But I hope this list can work for at least semi-competitive. 3 Vanguard vet squads with shields. Librarian Dreadnought for dropping units. 2 5-man Death Company, probably going to give them fists and infernal pistols, obviously led by 2 chaplains. Stangry Guard with Jump Chaplain because I like them. I've got Assault Terminator Squad with Ancient, the Visage of Death to try and snag objectives. The Vindicator's there for anti-armor alongside the Devastator Squad. Thanks again for pumping out the content for my favourite list, Commander. Oh, thank you for watching. I always do appreciate it. Okay. Based on what you said, I'm worried. I feel like you've got too much infantry. You've got the Ancient and Terminator Armor. Interesting, no one takes the Ancient, but okay. Ancient and Terminator Armor. Captain with a jump pack. You need to give him better weapon options than the default ones. A chain. He can have a Infernal Pistol and probably a Power Fist would be better than this. Chaplain with a jump pack ×2. I'd probably give both these chaplains the Power Fist. I think that's probably the best choice. Why have you got an Ancient? What can he do? Ancient and Terminator Armor. Oh, so you get to add 1 to your OC. I guess for your Terminators there'll be OC2. Follow this model's leading unit. Each time the model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll for the unit below starting strength. Add 1 to the wound roll if it's below half starting strength. That's actually not as bad as I might have thought. So the second you lose a Terminator, you get +1. And what's his weapon options? He can have a Chain Fist, Thunder Hammer. What did you give him? You gave him a Thunder Hammer. And the Storm Shield. I'm not sure I think the Thunder Hammer is all that good. I think I just prefer the Chain Fist. Because getting 2 devastating wound mortals, I think, is probably eclipsed by the time when you actually fight vehicles and you need to wound the vehicles. You just anti-vehicle 3+. I think Thunder Hammers are like needing a redesign or needing update for the new edition, honestly. The devastating wounds for me, in the games I've used Thunder Hammers, it's never felt like, hey, those guys were worth having it and having the Thunder Hammers. Okay, Death Company Marines, 4 Infernal Pistols and 4 Power Fists and a Thunder Hammer. I would just go 5 Infernals, 5 Power Fists. Same again on the second squad. Devastator Squad, obviously you said you'd probably put Grav Cannons, that's what you said, right? Last Cannon Grav. Yeah, I mean, either or seems probably fine. Librarian Dreadnought to move units around. Sangry Guard ×5. I really don't like them at all at 43 points per model. Terminators with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. I ran Terminators with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields a lot in 9th edition. They were in a lot of my tournament lists, like just a squad of Terminators I could drop into the backfield Probably drop them into cover, so with those storm shields, they could basically ignore -2 AP back last edition because of the storm shields. Terminators were on a 2-up save, so they went on a 1-up save, and cover made them a 0-up save, right? So you needed to hit them with -3 to just make me on a 3-up save. However, I haven't been running them at all. I think if I was gonna run Terminators, I'm probably running just regular chain fist Terminators, because I don't think the assault squads. I think this is rubbish. Each time a unit ends a charge move with an engagement range, the unit might take the battle shock, whereas like the other ones get to add more to their hit rolls if the target you've selected is Oath of Moment. I also think like 3 attacks only hitting on 4s, strength 8 -2 is kind of rubbish as well. I guess 4 wounds on a Terminator might be good, but you've got 1 Vindicator tank, and then the 3 squads of Vanguard Veterans, the squad of Terminators, the squad of Sanguinary Guard, the Devastator squad, the 2 Death Company squads, the Librarian Dreadnought, and all this characters to lead us. Man, I don't think I wouldn't play this at the moment personally. I was going to say, I don't know. Do you know what? I can possibly go back. Like, I can probably jump into my channel and, like, go back to, like, if I go into playlists, I go to live battle reports of 10th edition, and I go back to the start of 10th edition. Where would it have been? Probably this one. Let me see if... Oh, I didn't upload the army list for this one. I suck. Normally I always upload the army list. God damn it. I think someone even asked me to upload the army list in that one. Do you know what? You can probably just see it at the start here. Cool. Yeah, let me just play this for like 2 seconds. Let's see what, because this list did nothing. I lost this game so hard, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, this was an infantry heavy list. I think this was literally, this might have been the last time this was the last time I ran infantry. I just got absolutely destroyed. So I had a squad of Eradicators with the Biologists. I think I had 10-man Death Company with Lamartas. I had the Command Squad with Tycho over there. This is a 10-man Assault Squad with a Captain and a Sanguinary Priest. That was a 10-man Chain Fist Terminator Squad. I think over there I've got a squad of Voidsmen. I've got a squad of Scouts with the Sniper Rifles. I think that's kind of the whole army. Because I guess 10 Terminators is like 400 points, 10 Assault Marines plus Captain and Medic is another 400, 10 Death Company with Martas is like another 400. So those 3 squads are like 1200. The Eradicators plus the Biologists 1500. The Command Squad plus Tycho is like 1800. Then the Scouts, then the Voidsmen. Yeah, that was it. And like Nice Warlord Titan. Yeah, it's Gav's. It's not mine. But yeah. So I mean, in that game, so you know, it's similar in that like, what did I have? I had like 20 jump infantry troops in the 10 Death Company plus the 10 Vanguard Veterans. I had 10 Terminators. He's only got 5. I guess he's got 5. So I had 5 more Terminators. He's got like 10 more jump infantry. I guess he's got Librarian Dreadnought to move some of them around. I had the Terminators in Deep Strike, so I guess that doesn't make a huge amount of difference because you're still having to do a 9-inch charge. I had a Command Squad, I guess, which was a bit of a gimmick, and I had the Scouts. This is slightly better because it's got the Vindicator in there. But here's the thing: if you only have one anti-tank infantry weapon, I'll just blow that up first. So I'll shoot all my las cannons, all my Vindicators, or everything at this, and then you'll be stuck with Heirloom weapons are not going to do much into armor. Thunderhammers might do something. Sanguinary Guard without a character are like strength 6. So into armor, you're only ever wounding on 5s or 6s. Death Company are probably only ever wounding on 5s or 6s. I guess they at least get some rerolls built in. You're the Devastator squad. I guess that's something. But I think if you're trying to run a list like this much infantry, I think it's going to be super difficult. You're going to start the Vindicator in strategic reserve against lots of armor units. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do that, and you could bring it in, and it can shoot at least once. The problem with any vehicle that has like a swingy amount of shots, like if you want to go back and look at like Redemptor's last edition, Redemptor's had D6 shots. I always used to say taking a single Redemptor to a tournament sucks, because when you need a 6, you're going to roll a 1. So you kind of had to take 2 of them. So I think Vindicators are kind of in the same boat. If you need to kill some armor, you're going to roll a 1. CP rerolling the number of shots of a weapon is a super low valuable thing. How does infantry become viable again? I mean, they need to drop the points of armor by like... Sorry, they need to up the points of armor by like 20-30% probably, or drop infantry 20-30%. I don't have the answer, Jacob, but I honestly think that when they were doing testing, they should have realized that toughness 9 and 10 was enough. Like anything that was toughness 9 last edition was very, very strong. Like Great Unclean Ones were toughness 9, Rogel Dorn tanks were toughness 9. And there was not that much stuff that was toughness 9. The second you put like those multi-meltas wounding on 5s, multi-meltas wounding on 5s, armor becomes like quite a lot more viable. And I guess multi-meltas for the most part haven't had a strength increase, and armor's had a giant increase. You know, like Rhinos went from 7 to 9, so that's 2 points. Redemptors went from like 7 to 10, so that's 3 points. Land Raiders and Repulsors went from 8 to 12, so that's 4 points. So it's like weapons stayed exactly where they were, but all the armor moved up like 2 to 4 pips in strength. And this is one of the reasons that Death Guard are so bad, right? Death Guard are -1 toughness. Well, -1 toughness used to mean a lot. You know, like toughness 8 down to toughness 7 was a big deal, but like toughness 12 down to toughness 11 is nothing. So toughness 10 should have become the top of toughness, not 14 or whatever it is now. Preach it, brother. I think you're right. I honestly think make Melta strength 10. The problem is Melta, you've got strength, like one of the Space Marine tanks has strength 10 Melta guns. They've got, you know, armigers of strength 12 Melta guns. There's no uniformity across like the codexes or the armies. I think that's kind of the problem here. Maybe weapons need a handicap shooting infantry. I mean, maybe. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to have to do something, or it's just going to be addition of armor. People are making fun of me on the channel now because they're calling my list the parking garage. Because basically at the start I just park my 8 tanks on the board. I don't worry about strategic or reserve or anything. I just park my tanks on the board and it takes me like 2 seconds to deploy. But like the parking garage list is undefeated in 5 games now. It literally is beating everybody. So, all right, I need to head off for the night. I was going to say, it sucks to have to tell people that these infantry lists are going to be really, really difficult to pilot to victory right now, but I feel like that's the situation we're in. I really want them to fix that. Like, I do really want them to improve the game, improve the balance between armor and infantry. I think the game will be more fun. For the most part, I like the 10th edition rule set. I like the cards. I like the missions. I like the scoring. I think there's a couple of improvements they could make on the cards. Like I think there's a few cards you get in turn 1 that make no sense. Like if you get Assassinate in turn 1, where it's like the opponent only has 1 character and you have to kill him in turn 1 and you went first, so he's obviously hidden. You know, like you shouldn't. There's a few cards that shouldn't be. You should have the option of throwing away in turn 1 for free, I think. But yeah. So yeah, leave a like on the stream, guys. If you do want me to look at your list in the next couple of weeks, you could just leave a comment in this video description. Obviously, it's going to be more fun as soon as we get that balanced data slate and we get to play around like a few more different options and stuff like that. Maybe one of the I just think that they probably didn't talk enough between, like, the people writing the different codexes probably didn't, they weren't close enough on the same page. Because it must have, they must have had multiple rule writers, but that's fine. So yeah, leave me a comment if you want me to have a look at your list. I would love it for it to be more balanced. I would love them to figure that out. I think that's going to be super difficult for them to do, though, right? Like, because it's not like they can change the toughness on every single tank now and just bring it back down 2 or 3 points, can they? I mean, they could, I suppose. They could just put a blanket update that says all tanks, everything above toughness 8 has had its toughness reduced by 2 points or something. Like, they could do that. But if they don't do that, I don't know how. Or the other option is they're literally going to have to go through every tank and put them up 20 or 30% in cost so that the infantry have or drop all the infantry. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. They've never had such a sweeping change to do before, I feel like. But yeah. Who knows? Alright, leave me a like on the video. I'll be back this week with more videos. Probably we'll maybe do a video about tanks. Hopefully it'll be the end of the tank meta soon, though. And we'll get back to a much more, I was going to say, much more normal Blood Angels, because pretty much all my normal Blood Angels are, I was going to say, apart from 5 Death Company and a Chaplain, all my other painted Blood Angels models that are like nicely painted have just been sitting in the cupboard for like a month and a half at this point. So, alright. Enjoy your night, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be live next week, same time, looking at some more armies. And I will catch you sometime this week with some other videos, I'm sure. So, never doubt Double Vindicator till I die. I run Double Vindicator every week at the moment, Jay Henderson. Try it. It's so good. You think that Melta could be anti-vehicle 4+? I mean, that might be that's interesting, actually, Phil. That's probably one of the best options I've heard for trying to make things a bit more interesting. Keep Melta with low strength and give it anti-vehicle? Maybe. I guess we'll see. Maybe we need like a bingo card. But as soon as they announce all the points costs and stuff like that, we'll cover it on the channel 100%. So yeah, enjoy your week, guys. I've got some new content coming out this week for sure, and I'll catch you guys then. All right, good night, peace.